Stefan Tanase. He is a senior security researcher at Kaspersky, and he's going to talk about financial fraud today. There's been a lot going on in this space, so I know you have a lot of developments to talk about. First of all, let's talk about Romanian carders. I know they have to collect two types of information. Can you talk about how the schemes usually work?
Yeah, well, I come from Romania, but generally carders try to collect two types of information. Mm-hmm. Usually they either target the physical data that is stored on the magnetic stripe of the card, which is the track 2 data, and that is being used to process payments in like real life when you go to a store or to a cafe with your card. And then there's the ones who are targeting the CVV data, what we use for online payments, which is your credit card number, your expiry date, and the number on the back of the card. So that's the two main directions where credit card theft is happening.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have the carders, and then we're hearing more about some of these more sophisticated bank heists, where it seems like oftentimes the people are caught. There's the diversion where people will DDoS the bank for a while and then do a bigger attack. What is your, comment, I guess, on the DDoS attacks? Like, how scary are they really?
Well, I wouldn't say that the DDoS attacks play such a big role in financial fraud. Of course, you can definitely create a diversion, but what's usually happening is the critical systems of the banks, the ones that are actually moving the money from one place to another, or authorizing the transactions, they're usually not facing the internet. They're usually behind VPN networks, internal networks, and it's very hard to DDoS those systems. So what's usually happening, you see cybercrime groups or activist groups that are DDoSing, for example, the main web page of a credit card processor or of a big bank. But it's usually happening just to send a message, just to try to get their activist message out.
And we've also been seeing the large-scale targeting of point-of-sale systems. I know this happened with Barnes & Noble last year.
Yeah, with Subway as well a couple of years ago. That's the more advanced things that cyber criminals are doing that carders, like normal carders that are installing skimming devices, cannot do. Because the thing with POS malware is that it's highly scalable. So once you manage to penetrate a target, like a big retail chain like Barnes & Noble, for example, then it's probably very easy to install the same piece of malware in different locations and to exponentially grow the quantity of stolen data. When you compare it to like a physical crime of installing skimming devices or fake POSs, then it's much harder to scale. But of course, writing malware and infecting computers with malware is much more complicated than installing some physical skimming devices.
And with the banking Trojans, a lot of them look similar to their, predecessors. Why is that?
Well, especially in the past years, there were banking Trojans that got their source code leaked over the internet. So basically, right now, everyone that wants to get the source code of Zeus, for example, the most popular banking Trojan, they can find it online. And they can take it and they can basically edit it and create a new variant of that piece of malware without too much of a hassle. So that's why right now we have a couple of more banking malware families, like we have Zeus, we have Spy, we have Citadel. But most of the times they're either just modifications, variants, and either between the families, the functionality doesn't differ that much. Because the online banking systems are basically the same. The online credit card processing is basically the same, so the malware itself is also the same.
Okay. And then just to give some advice, because it seems like a lot of these fraud incidents happen with the card skimmers, so these carder teams. What's some advice you have on protecting your card information?
Well, probably the best advice would be not to use the card, not to use your card at all. But of course, that's like impossible. So I think the best strategy is whenever you want to withdraw money from an ATM, just to look around the ATM, to look at it, to see if there's maybe a camera that is pointed at the PIN pad that would copy your PIN code while you enter it. Some cyber criminals, carders, they're not using cameras, but they're actually putting fake keyboards on top of the actual keyboard so that they can copy your card number. But the best method to defend yourself against ATM skimming is whenever the ATM gives out your card, don't just take it with a continuous motion. Instead, wiggle it a little bit when you pull out the card, because the way these magnetic stripe readers work, they usually need to have the card to have like a constant speed when it's passing the reader. So if you just wiggle with it a little bit, then you usually mess up the reading process. This is how to stay safe in like ATM withdrawals. Then there's the other type of card usage, which is usually at restaurants or at cafes. The waiter comes with the bill, and you just put the card in the bill and you give the card to the waiter. That's a huge risk, if you ask me, because that's where usually cards are getting copied. When the waiter goes in the back of the restaurant and he has two POS devices, one is his own and one is the official one connected to the bank. So my advice is to never lose your card, never let your card to get out of your sight. So always keep the card, keep looking at the card, because that way nobody will be able to copy it without you noticing it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but it was great to have you. I'm sure there'll be a lot more developments, and you'll be back soon talking about the new schemes that people are doing. Join us next time.